Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and today is Wednesday, November 13th. Just looking at the overall moves in the averages, right? SPY was basically flat for the day, slightly green. Qs just up 2 basis points. IWM finished in the red. That was the underperformer on the day, down 40 basis points. But it seems like it was just more of an action-packed day, even though the overall indices are just kind of grinding. Here's what the sector performance kind of looks at for the day, especially what I look at as percentage change from the open, just to see what, of course, looking at where these things changed for the day. But I also like to see where the money was spread around. Utilities actually outperformed the best on the day. I think part of that has to do with the move in TLT today was up 65 basis points, even though it did sell off from the open. So it looks like there was a little bit of profit taking in bonds. Also a couple other things like gold and silver. Do I think all of these areas probably due for a little bit of a snapback recovery. They've been pretty beaten up and pretty oversold, I think, in the short term. Probably the same thing with utilities. They've really gotten hit over the last couple weeks. Biotech, which continues to be kind of a staple that we're seeing up here. We are seeing some really nice strength in the bios and in healthcare names. And then software. So, I think what was interesting on the day, of course, we'll talk about Disney and Roku and all that, and some Roku call buying, Disney call buying as well after the fact. But I think what was interesting is, okay, we have another trade headline, and number one, about the trade deal not going well, right? We hear the other ones that's going well, and this one they hit what's called a snag. Interesting, they didn't use the word glitch, but they hit a snag regarding the ag purchases. So, and you would think that the market would have sold off a little bit more on this. Very muted reaction, and then we kind of shook it off and got back to where we were before that headline. So, but what areas outperformed today? It seemed like a little bit of not so much value, but growth, and going back to the playbook of when there's negative trade headlines out there, what outperforms? Software, utilities, things that really are, you know. Not so much involved in the trade war. So I thought it was interesting that so of course Disney, we caught this headline very quickly, but this is a monster move in Disney. You could see it's still pretty decently bid, and it does kind of resemble this move back here where it gapped up on the initial announcement of this, but announcing that the numbers are coming in stronger than expected. So we did see a bunch of after the fact call buying where they were basically chasing momentum. We saw that in Roku today too. So Roku pretty interesting. To a lesser extent, but still up 5%. Just monster day for some of these things. But then if you kind of look at some of the newer like IPO momentum names. Not so much Shop, but I really like this setup in Shopify. Now inside value for the month. And I did structure a trade called a limited risk reversal. We did this in Chipotle the other day, and it worked very well. So we'll see how this one works. But I like how I've got my buy signal. It needs to hold 308, which is $6 down. But I like how this thing finished on the day. So pretty strong looking here. Right at the highs of the day. We also saw some call buying in ServiceNow. So again, software names doing very well today. You could see the performance of some of these if you break apart the IGV ETF. TBX, there's also, I think there was some rumors about that name. Coupa Software, which just continues to kind of be that outperformer in the group. TTD again was up 2.2%, but some good performance. What's the other ETF in this one? Was it XH? Was it H? Nope, that's not it. I'll have to remember what that is later. Yeah, that's it. XSW. Just to see if there's what the movers were in this one. This one is a little bit more comprehensive. But yeah, INST, which there's some rumors flying around about that one. RPD was up 2%. Paycom, which is another one that looks pretty good, right? I was just showing the a couple of these charts. Look how this thing closed today. So again, it's like a shift around. And if you look at the, keep your eye right when everybody starts talking about growth. All of a sudden, value starts to outperform. This is small cap value versus small cap growth. The value is in the numerator, and the denominator is growth, and you can see this really back off, right? So everybody getting all bulled up about value, and then all of a sudden it starts to fade, and you could see this as well. I've got one for overall value, right? Again, that's just straight up small cap and breaking it apart. But if we look at value versus growth here, it's the same situation, right? So growth has been outperforming the last couple of days. I associate this as a seesaw. I was talking about this on CNBC's Trader Nation, and I was talking about how this is a seesaw, right? When one starts to outperform the other one gets a little bit cheaper and lesser owned, and people start rotating into the other. So it's just funny. Now, been no doubt there's been a lot of rotation going into value ETFs and some international areas as well, but it just kind of works back and forth in terms of which ones are outperforming. Overall market, so if we go back to, I didn't cover the indices other than just what transpired today, but I can't believe this. Like I'm still kind of shocked with this. I would have thought that we would have had like a little bit of a spill down today, because I've been trying to position that way as well, thinking, hey, obviously we're in a grind mode higher, but I thought today was the day that we would kind of come in a little bit and rest down in here. But the other thing that I've been saying is watch what happens on these where we open up down. Buyers are coming out, right? So, and it seems like what the Fed is doing, although they're not calling it quantitative easing, is outweighing what the trade headlines are for the time being, right? So they're continuing to buy and increase the balance sheet, the Fed. So that means that there's more liquidity in the system. So I think that's one of the driving factors, and it's a little bit of FOMO. People have not been in this market, for the some people, right? Some funds, have been more bearish than bullish, and they're playing catch up right now. So yeah, I mean, I'm very surprised that we did not break this 5 period moving average, but it is what it is. Other trades that we talked about today, like a couple things that we mentioned yesterday. Kraft Heinz, nice day today. This name does go ex div. So if you're not familiar what that means, like a couple people were talking about, oh my God, there's all this call activity today. A lot of it is because people substitute in and out of the stock with options, right? It's because either for tax purposes, if you own options, right, you don't get the dividend. So we see a lot of that going on whenever a name is going to report a dividend, which they do tomorrow. So just keep in mind that it's not like all bullish activity in this one. What else? I think I've mentioned ServiceNow. I think this stock looks okay. It's kind of right in the middle of the value area, but a whole bunch of other names like CrowdStrike moved up pretty nicely. This group has been doing very well since Fortinet reported earnings. This stock has been on a mission. Cyber also had a secondary. I think they had a convertible offering. They actually bounced back pretty nicely. I think the ZS may be looking to turn the corner here. We'll see. Maybe we can get one green day out of that name. But I think interesting price action going on in this group, and so on and so forth. So here were my trades for the day, because I always show you what else I did today. Oh, I started a position in. Actually, I had a couple. Again, I'm like dipping my toe into names here. Because of where the market is right now, I just really don't want to add a lot of risk. I talked about that. I talked about that pre-market in the Tribeca Trade Group pre-market session. I said, hey, I'm really going to try to avoid adding some things, but hey, if I can take off some trades, like we got out of TMO today before this QGEN headline hit, which interesting that this name has been seeing a little bit of call activity too. So I know we're going to get those people that say, "Oh, they always know." What else today? I'll show you my setups that I was looking at. Blackstone did not close on the highs, but I like how this is kind of doing one of these things, and I think this gets back to 52-week highs. So I added a starter in this one. Again, just really not going all in anything right now, right this second. Like I said, in Shopify, that was another one. And then CWH, this is the Marcus Lemonis company. If you know Marcus Lemonis from The Profit, this is Camping World, right? This thing has been in a big downtrend for a while, but I like what the stock is doing. On this was the earnings day where it started to go lower, and it actually put in that nice green candle there. So I like when these names start to turn around like this. The stock was up 8% today, so I went ahead and got involved in this name today, and that's a great looking setup. I initially found this name. What is the guy? What is the guy's name? Ian, is it? His handle is the Chart Life, I believe, on Twitter. So this was a nice setup that I saw him post about. I think right after earnings. So I've been watching it. It had the 200-day moving average as a barrier. So I like this thing. And again, I like simple setups. You set your stop to just below the 200-day moving average, and I think good to go in this name. Another name that I think is interesting here is Taiwan Semi. These names that are really strong, they have a tendency to not really stay down for very long. So got extended here, gapped up. It has filled the gap into the 20-day moving average, and the trend is your friend here. Two things going on here in terms of support: top of value 51.57, 20-day value, 20-day moving average. All right, guys. So we'll leave it here. I will. Some people asked me about how to become a member of Tribeca Trade Group on the internet. Yeah, basically just go to www.tribecatradegroup.com, which I should have up here someplace. It looks like I don't. But that is where you go to become a member. You could also email me with any questions. My email is cfromhertz@tribecatradegroup.com, which again, you can find this on my Twitter handle. But yeah, I mean, I think what's really nice about our room is just the community of traders that everybody's helping each other. We caught this nice trade in Piton today, but I don't always catch all the headlines first. Most of the time I do because I pay for a Bloomberg terminal. But this was a nice little trade. I got into some weekly calls for 20 cents. Took some targets at 45, 45, 55, and then out at 70 cents. But it's the same thing with Disney today. We were the first ones, I think, to kind of point out that headline, and that trade worked really well for traders in the room. All right, guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.